As long as I have that little square dot, we're good. Hey guys, this is Chandler Rice with Geeked Out, and I am here with the Zombie King. This is the man who made zombies cool before that show on TV. You know.
Yeah, that show.
Let's say hi to Arthur. Arthur, how you doing?
Good to see
there?
you, man. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Yeah, we're here in Texas. Last time you and I saw each other in Texas, had a very unique opportunity. It was during the last Wizard World Texas show, Dallas show, and we had a chance to go out to dinner.
Right.
And for those who don't know, this guy is an insane musician, multi-talented in different things. He's a multi-talented man, martial artist, musician, and obviously he is the king of zombies in the comic book world. There we go. Shameless plug. There we go. But so we've been doing this for a while.
Yeah. Since
I'm
1972. Since 1972.
1972.
Yeah.
I mean, you have had such an interesting career in the sense that you obviously have you've done not just comics, but you've also done magazines and
Right.
and everything.
Yeah.
You've done album covers.
Right.
I mean, out of curiosity, is there anything that you haven't done yet that are kind of like on your bucket list? Go,
That I want to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to learn how to build houses.
You
I
wanna
like to
learn
be
how
able to start
build
from
houses?
scratch. I like to be able to start from scratch, put a foundation down, do all the framing, and be able to build an entire house from start to scratch. That's on my bucket list of some things that I want to do.
Now, I know you have I don't know if it's a secondary home or a vacation home down in Central America somewhere or something
Oh,
like that.
yeah, I don't really own a place, but when it gets cold in New York, we have work and down there, and so we take the work down there. I have fighters that I train down there, so I don't really own a place down there, but
Have you ever thought about building a place down there?
thought about it and then tossed it out the window for the same reason that like just politics and crime, as is in Mexico, it's the same thing in Central America. It's just getting worse and worse and worse all the time. So I think it's a nice place to visit, but I won't want to live there.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to live there.
Fair
yeah,
enough. Fair enough.
Nice place to work, but I won't want to live there. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you talk about New York, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, you've been there for
Forever.
obviously, forever.
Over 45 years. Yeah.
And I can't even imagine what the weather's like in New York right now. I mean, it's just
A wee bit frosty.
a little on the nippy
A wee
cold
bit frosty.
side.
A wee
Yeah.
bit nippy. Yeah.
So coming out to a show in Texas obviously is kind of a break for you.
Yeah, love to come to Texas. Yeah, I love Texas. Yeah.
What are shows like for you versus? I mean, obviously, does it really interrupt with your work, or is it really a part of what you do? I mean,
It's a part of what I do now because the music business has gotten so it's in turmoil. So it's in utter turmoil. So I had to take a step back from that. The martial arts thing is taking a lot more time now. I've got a lot more students, and I've got students all over the world. So international, I've got them in different countries. I got professional fighters that I'm training, and I really like doing that. I like training with them. So that's basically it. So, but things have kind of settled into a groove that I'm more comfortable with now. I think giving up the music was taking too much of my time. Because I'm also the musical director, so I had to do everybody else's work for them as well. So not only I had to learn the parts, but I had to teach them to all the musicians, and when they forgot them, had to reteach them to them, and had to do a lot of the work with the clubs and that kind of thing. So a lot of negotiations, and that's too time consuming.
I know
Yeah.
Sharon,
Yeah.
used to manage bands in Texas,
Yeah.
and she would talk about some of the headaches that she would go through. So I can only imagine,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
being in New York, with the New York scene.
Yeah.
Well, we had mentioned about obviously your connection to zombies and
Right,
everything.
yeah.
And as I said, you were making zombies cool before anything with Walking Dead coming out.
Right.
Have you found that the TV show has had, or what kind of effect has the TV show had on you as a creator with what you've made very famous, and that is the zombie environment?
Yeah, it's kind of it's a little more like the reverse of that, which is basically they had been pitching. There was a little known black and white series called The Walking Dead that didn't have much of a readership, and they were pitching it, trying to get some studios to pick it up, and nobody would pick it up. It got rejected by all the studios. Now what happened was we put Marvel Zombies together from Marvel Comics and became one of their biggest hits of all time. And then that started this whole snowball going downhill, this whole zombie thing and then I did sequential zombie series after that, and each one we did just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it ended up being like with the British invasion, like when the Beatles came over, and like
Yeah.
Michael Jackson, it just took over the whole country. Everybody became zombie crazy, and that's what put pressure on AMC to sign The Walking Dead, and that's how I got on TV. And once the show got on TV, then Zombies became the #1 show on cable TV, which it's been, I think, for about 9 years now. #1 show on cable TV, and so it's just getting more popular, more popular, more popular every year.
So there's been no drop off, obviously, when it comes to zombie ideas, zombie memorabilia. I mean, obviously, you're staying busy with that. I
I'm
would
staying
imagine.
busy with that. I mean, it helps. So the show going on TV helped me a lot. I mean, so we helped get the show on TV, and then once the show was on TV, the show helped me with basically with the Comic Cons and that kind of thing, because it's very popular. But yeah, it was immensely popular. So it's been great. So yeah, it's been really great.
As far as your interactions with fans,
Right.
I mean, you have fans that follow you all over the country.
Right.
Yeah,
We just had a guy that came in for this show, came all the way to from Japan, to get me to autograph his Marvel Zombies books.
Wow, that's some serious fandom there.
Yeah. And he didn't speak English, so it was interesting. It was an interesting conversation.
When something like that happens, how does that make you feel from a creator viewpoint? I mean, does that kind of like go, wow?
I was
mean,
flattered. Yeah, I was really flattered. Really flattered. It was, yeah, it made me go, wow. Yeah.
And that's one of the fun things I think about cons is having those moments, because I know they can get a little repetitive and stuff like that. And when you do have a moment like that, it's kind of like, wow, that made this worthwhile.
Yeah.
You know.
For me, it's okay. For me, I mean, the two things I love about the business, I love doing the paintings and writing the stories, and then seeing the books when they finally come out. Like, oh, they did a good job on printing it. They did. The colors are good. It's clear. It's a nice. I'm proud of the work. So that's one moment that's a reason to be in comics. And then the other one, really, the only other moment that I can think of that I really like is really just meeting the fans, and the fans, they let you know I kind of. And I find them useful as a gauge for what I'm doing that they like and what I'm doing that they don't like. So for me, just to have an understanding of markets. So what's the marketplace? Sitting in an office somewhere like at these publishers, there can be a disconnect there. And so where you avoid that disconnect is when you're on the ground floor with the fans who actually buy the books. You get a real clear understanding of why people like what they like and why they don't like what they don't like.
It almost sounds like that's a message to editors out there, that you need to get out there among the fans and maybe have a little interaction with them to help them keep stories moving.
If they have an interest,
I mean,
if they have an interest in understanding the market,
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. I would say less the job of the editors and more important for the managers, because the managers tell the editors what to do, and then they have to do it whether it's right or whether it's wrong. If the management tells the editor, go jump off that bridge, hey, he's my boss, I gotta go jump off the bridge, and they go jump off the bridge. So it's really the one where the disconnects really happen is the higher up the ladder you go, the more intense the disconnect is, the more severe and the more
I could completely appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because again, with what we do with signatures and everything, and learning where we may sit there from a personal viewpoint, go, well, I think that would be a really great person to go after, or they should do well, and it's like, you know what? That's not necessarily what the fans think. And
Right.
ultimately, the fans are they're the buying
That's
public,
correct.
and they're the ones that are going to sit there and determine what's going to be successful and what isn't.
That's correct. It's the bottom line. Fans
Yeah.
are the bottom line. Yes.
Absolutely.
I have a lot of respect for the fans, and so I love, I look forward to, and I learn a lot. Maybe some of the fans learn something from we artists when they come and see us at a show and they talk to us and interview us. they learn some things, but I learned a lot from talking to them as well.
Well, all I know is this: you've been doing this for a while. You've been doing conventions for a while. We've known each other for what, probably I want to say at least 10 years or so, if
Probably
not
more than
longer.
that. Yeah, yeah.
It seems like it's been a
Yeah, yeah.
while.
Yeah, quite a while.
It's been interesting seeing the change in the comic convention industry.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to Tony Isabella earlier, and we were talking about how you go back to the 70s and 80s when the Comic Cons were very much like this show here,
Right.
which was small venue,
yeah.
a smaller venue, very comic centric.
Right.
And then you have these mega cons, or these mega shows where they bring in all these celebrities. And
Well, actors.
well, it's actors.
Because
They bring-
for us on this end of for us in the business, the real celebrities are the artists.
You guys.
When I say the artists, I mean like the writers, the people actually producing the IP, which is the intellectual
Yeah.
property, and writing the stories and designing the characters, and then also the directors of the movies. We consider them celebrities as well.
Well,
So,
Tony was saying that he felt that what would be interesting is when con promoters started treating you, the creators
Right.
of these characters and of these stories, on the same level as these actors.
Right,
Because if
right,
it
yeah.
wasn't for you,
Right.
these actors wouldn't even be there.
That's correct.
And
That's correct.
to find a way to maybe equalize it a little bit, not that
Right.
you expect to make $160 a signature like a Jason Momoa, but I mean still. And you yourself, you know, one of the things that I always know when you come to a show and you're at a show, I know I'm able to look forward to seeing a slew of unbelievable artwork. And again, you've taken what I thought was really a lot of fun. You've taken some very iconic pieces and then added your branding to it.
Right.
An example being would be the Beatles.
Right.
It was Abbey Road.
Yeah, there's covered X-Men #1, there's Deadpool in an Abbey Road situation.
Yeah, and just and you've made a lot. It's a lot of fun seeing that process and seeing the fans react to it.
Right.
So, but as far as the conventions are concerned, is there something you'd like to see maybe in a change of conventions, or do you know?
Just what you said, I think. I think that recognition, because the biggest shows that we've done, I mean, the most well-attended shows are the one where there's a nice blend of actors and comic talent. Those seem to be the ones that all the vendors do the best at. So everybody does well. The vendors do well, the actors do well, the artists do well, and thereby the show does well. So the promoters do well. And the only thing I could think that I would like to see an adjustment is, will never happen. What it'll be just for some of the promoters who are basically just investors putting on the shows to realize the value of having a well-balanced show, and having more artist guests at the show, because the shows that, as I say, that we attend, we the artists that do the best, have the most people coming in the door. I don't want to name names of the show, but these shows I'm thinking of off the top of my head usually have just 3 or 4 actors, and the rest is all comic talent, and they are the best attended. They get them, so they're making the highest profits in ticket sales and all that. And,
Well, I think part of that is you look at these actors, and because of what they're charging for their autographs or their photos or whatever it may be, the problem is you have fans that are attending the show, and the first thing they do is they go to those actors. They're spending their money there, and then the question is what they have left in their pocket to spend with the exhibitors or with the creators.
Well, they're
And-
spending a lot of money to get in the place,
Yeah.
for sure. So they're paying a lot of money for tickets. If you got a family of 4, buying tickets to get in, and then there's only so many dollars in a room to go around, and particularly, especially for the vendors, there has to be revenue in the room to support the people that are paying your rent if you're a promoter. So these vendors are coming to these shows, packing up, U-Hauls and putting their whole store in a U-Haul, traveling across country to do a show. When they get in the show, it's important that it's successful for everybody, not just for like a I don't know, not just for a couple actors, you know. So.
And it seems to me what would be a good mix is the actors you bring are actors who are in fact somehow their characters they're playing are tied into the comic book industry
That
because
helps,
that's
yeah.
going to cause people
That's
to
correct.
spend money with the actors, but then to go
Right,
spend
right.
money with the exhibitors,
Right,
maybe
right.
to buy an action figure
A toy or something, yeah.
something that you know that they can then take to the actor to get signed. So now you have something that's creating a market where everyone is benefiting.
Precisely. So
Yeah.
that means everybody. That means the fans, so they aren't being overcharged for things. You know, so when they come to a show, they don't leave the show thinking that they don't want to do it. They want to come to another show because it costs too much money, that kind of thing. So we the artists. When I say the artists, I mean the comic community, the writers and the artists. We see these Comic Cons as being an ecosystem where everything is depending on the other thing. There's a balance there, and when things are in balance, it works really well for everybody. It works
Yeah.
well great for the fans, great for the promoters, great for the vendors. We want the vendors to do really well, and well for the artists, and great for the actors as well.
Yeah.
Like too many, you know, what it is, you know, you get some shows where they have a couple actors that draws a lot of people, and they overreact. So the promoters overreact, and so they'll say, "Well, I guess I have to put all my apples in the actors' baskets, and we're not going to have any of these other kind of talents there," and it destroys the echo balance of the show. Now the vendors, you know, lost money at the show. They drove cross country to do a show. The artists didn't do well. Now the artists don't want to do that show anymore, and the vendors have to pay the rent for the promoters putting on a show.
Yeah.
For them to rent the big hall that they rent. Now they don't want to do the show again, and then next year all the vendors are disappearing, and it creates just like in the regular environment. You know, you get rid of one species of animals, it can start a whole chain reaction that's very negative, and it's the same thing in these Comic Cons. And a lot of the big promoters, especially when they're big corporations, they don't have that understanding.
I mean, they obviously did something to get there, but the problem is they lose sight of it. And
They lose sight of it, right?
And they aren't listening to what's
They
going
can
on.
get greedy.
Yeah,
They can
yeah.
get greedy,
And-
and it makes them make stupid mistakes. Yeah.
And then what ends up happening is you have the fans that, what do? They go back to basics, which is walking in the doors of shows just like this.
Right, yeah.
And this is where you have wonderful creators like yourself coming and having a good time in warmer weather, staying warm,
Yeah.
and then basically finishing up this show and moving on to another one.
Yep.
So, and I think that's what we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up wrapping this up. And so again, we're here in the North Texas Comic Book Convention in Dallas, Texas. That was for you, Chris. And
Great show.
I am here again with the Zombie King, the man who made zombies cool before it was cool that other show. This is Arthur Suydam. Thank you, sir. It was a
My pleasure. Always a pleasure, Chandler. Always a
And
pleasure.
we'll see you out on the road.